Hello, and welcome to Ask the EFT Coach. I'm your host, Forrest Samnik. I'm a psychotherapist and certified EFT practitioner coming to you today from a very hot and muggy Palm Harbor, Florida. Today, our question comes from Katie in Topeka. And Katie writes in, Forrest, I am new to EFT. I downloaded the EFT manual a few weeks ago, and I'm getting stuck on what words to use. I have a big presentation coming up at work, and I'm really nervous about it. So do you have any advice for me? Katie, thank you so much for that question, because it's probably the number one most frequently asked questions of people who are new to EFT. And I have a couple of things I'd like to share with you. Number one is the words aren't nearly as important as the feelings that are coming underneath it. It is, as long as we're feeling the sensation, we know we are tuned in. So there are times when words can trigger us, so we get that sensation, we know that we're tuned in. But if you have a feeling, if you are sensing some kind of intensity, emotional intensity, don't worry about it. You're already tuned in. Tapping's gonna go well for you. So mostly what we use the words for is to keep us tuned in. We call it the reminder phrase. So it's just having those key words that are going to help us keep tuned in. So what I would suggest for you in this presentation that's coming up is that you know that you're already playing a movie in your head about this upcoming presentation. So I want you to go ahead and play it. And as you play it, I want you to notice that where in this movie are you getting tripped up? When do the butterflies really start going chaotic? And then take an intensity about how many butterflies you have and how many directions they're flying in. And so if that sensation is an 8, you're tuned in, go ahead and start tapping and paying attention to what it was that triggered you. For instance, say that as you were speaking, you stumbled on the words, like I do all the time. And stumbling on those words, you started feeling this kind of sense of that, oh my God, I'm totally humiliating myself. So you may have the setup phrase as, even though I'm afraid that I'm going to stumble or forget the words and I'm going to totally humiliate myself in front of my colleagues, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. And then I do a couple of tapping rounds. I'm afraid I'm going to forget the words. I'm afraid I'm going to stumble over the words. And I'll totally humiliate myself. This fear of forgetting the words and totally humiliating self in front of my colleagues. So you do a couple rounds on that, then check in on those butterflies. You know, are they now flying in formation? And if not, if they come down some but haven't totally settled down, then I would go to see if you can't figure out what the core issue is. So ask yourself, when was the first time I ever stumbled or forgot the words or ever felt humiliated? Because those are those key triggers. So perhaps what comes up for you is that, like in the 3rd grade, you answered a question in class and the entire class laughed at you. And you got that sense of embarrassment and humiliation. So then tune in, see where you're feeling it, how intense is that feeling, get a gauge, start tapping, even though I still remember the time when I answered the question in class and everybody laughed at me and I was totally embarrassed and humiliated. I answered the question, the whole class was laughing, and I feel so embarrassed. I'm feeling so embarrassed because I answered a question and they were laughing at me. I didn't say the right words. I didn't have the right answer. I'm feeling so embarrassed and humiliated. And after a few rounds of that, check back in again. If it's come down, then go back to the original presentation that's coming up and start the movie again. And if your butterflies are totally calm and confident, then you can quit. But if not, chances are you have another aspect. That means there's something else besides the stumbling of the words that's triggering you. Like maybe it's you're looking out at the crowd, and that's what's creating the anxiety. So then ask yourself, what about the crowd, the faces in the crowd? What feeling is that provoking? And it may be that this sense that you're being judged, that people may be critically looking at or listening to what you're saying. So then there's another aspect, and you need to tap on that one. After a few rounds of tapping on this fear that people are going to judge me, again gauge where's that, how intense is the anxiety, and if it's come down but not all the way, check again to see if you can't find a core issue. Sometime back in the past, maybe when somebody told you don't say that, or they criticized you for what you said, or they judged you on your words, and tap that, because if we can tap away the core issue, then we've actually upgraded our operating system. It's almost like these core issues keep us stuck in an old, worn-out operating system. Like we're still operating out of DOS, when really what we want to do is upgrade to Vista. So we have this tool EFT that can upgrade our operating system. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, I hope that was a help for you, Katie, and for all of you that have also tuned in to Ask the EFT Coach. Remember, if you have a question, all you have to do is log on to my website, www.lifeworkswitheft.com, and then shoot me an email, and I'll answer your questions and post them for everybody who can benefit. Until then, remember that you are magnificent, and tap on.